Hello, Matt Chua. How you doing?
What's going on, man?
Pleasure to be joined by fellow Actors Lab Philly classmate, in addition to music artist, actor, dancer, model, graphic artist, voiceover artist, host, Filipino martial artist. God, get a life, man.
When you say it like that, I feel so busy. So yes, thank you. That felt great.
It's amazing what you find when you go online. I tell you, it's so much stuff. We're gonna get to all of this, and I know acting wasn't necessarily the first egg to hatch in your basket. I know more creative endeavors like music, dance, choreography, but I want to get to that in a second here. Product of Kutztown University.
Yes.
So what came first? Was it dance, choreography? Was it music? What happened first out of the gate?
I would say it's neck and neck between the dancing and the music, but I think the dancing came first, honestly, and then the music. Yeah, that's how pretty much how it went. Yeah.
So did you get your inspiration from Usher? Did I read that correctly?
Where are you finding this? Yes. Yes.
I'm like James Lipton, dude.
Norwalk,
Just don't have the stack of cards.
Jesus, that is crazy. Yeah. So Usher is where I got a majority of my dancing from. It was the "You Got It Bad" video. Actually, was the very first thing I remember watching, and I remember he was gliding across the screen, and he was doing that little tick thing where he does all this stuff, and I was like, "That is amazing!" And I just rewound it 20 million times on, I think it was a VCR. Dating myself. So yes, at the time, and I just run it back, and then I would just try to emulate it as much as I could. And that's where it all started. Thanks to Usher, man.
You just mentioned the VCR. That takes me back. That's another thing we have in common. We're pretty good looking for our ages, aren't we not?
Oh, the beige in me is perfect, man. You never know. You never know.
The thing that I like, the marker, the barometer in life that makes my ego swell is that whenever I tell somebody my age, if they go, "Really? Seriously?"
Yep.
Then I know I'm doing okay.
Yeah. No, I feel you with her. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm so and so." What? There's no way. I'm like, "Yeah, man, it's amazing."
We don't have to get into numbers, but all right, fine. We're 800 years old each. We just drink a lot of water. Anyway, so as far as music goes, was it writing? Was it performing? How did that begin for you?
So I was making beats. I was a producer, and I was just messing around with like Fruity Loops and shit like that. And then my one buddy who was singing at the time, named Jose Gonzalez. I remember this, and he wanted me to rap or do a verse on one of his songs. And I was like, "Man, I don't rap, like especially like put everything to the public like that." And he was like, "It'll be fine. Don't worry about it." And I tried my hand on it, and he released it. And then a couple people were like, "Hey, this is actually pretty good." And I was like, "Oh shit, really? Okay." And then put out an album with a group that I had at the time. And then I went to Kutztown, and my friend Brandon, he goes by B. Lee. He heard it somehow. To this day, I still don't know how he heard the thing, because it wasn't like DSPs were available back then. Like we had like straight up CDs that we would hand to people and be like, "Here, buy it for $7, And he heard the CD somehow, and we linked up together. He made a beat, and he was like, "Hey, can you rap on this?" And I rapped on that, and I felt really good about it. And then I put out my first album. Then that got a little bit of traction, and I just put out music up until 2016. That was the last time I actually touched music, and that's where the transferring to the acting actually happened. And that's a whole story in and of itself.
Continue, please.
So I was at my friend's music video. He was shooting a music video. His name is Tias. He formerly was known as Sebastian Rivera. So all his music's still all on Apple and all that. So go check him out. Great artist, great singer. So they were changing setups for a scene that he was doing for his music video, and there was a dance circle happening in between the breaks. And I looked down there, and I was pretty tipsy on tequila anyway, and I was just like, "Fuck it, I'll go down there. Why not?" And I headed down there. We went into it with a couple sessions and stuff like that. And it was just me and this one guy that we just kept going back and forth. And he had the circle, and everybody was all jumping and on. And then finally, everybody was like, "All right, get to your set." get to your places. You know, we're gonna set up for the next shot." And his name's Rico King. It's all your fault, buddy. This is the reason why this is all the way it is. And I always blame him. I always tell him it's his fault. And he came up to me, he approached me. He was like, "Hey, man, just want to let you know you got a real good look to you. Did you ever think about, you know, modeling or acting or anything like that?" I remember, I think this is as close to what I said to him at that moment. I said, "Fuck no." And he was like, "All right, you know, that's cool. I respect it. If you change your mind though, you know, here's my card. Hit me up. Then, you know, I'll help you out." I was like, "All right, man, cool. Like, you know, appreciate it. Thank you." And no intentions of, you know, doing it at all. But I was like, acting is not in the scope of what I wanted to do. Put out the final album. Months went by, and you know what? Why not? What is the worst that could possibly happen with doing this? So texted Rico, and I was like, "Hey man, how's everything?" You know, and I said, "Curious, that offer, is it still on the table?" I'm thinking, hell no, this kid, forget him, whatever. And he was like, "Yeah, when are you free?" I said, "Oh, well," then we set a day up. I don't remember what it was. And he was like, "All right, well, I'm in Jersey. I live in Jersey. Come meet me here and I'll just show you the ropes." I said, "All right, cool." So drove up to Jersey, met him at his crib, and he was like, "All right, so we're going to head into the city. We're going to head into New York and I'll just show you around." I was like, "All right, cool, man. Like I'm just here for the fucking ride, but by all means." So getting to New York, he was taking me to, well, a couple different places. He's like, "Oh, so this is where a few auditions happen here. Here's where a couple, places with like management and all that are here." He brought me along and we crashed a couple of auditions that he was already had to go in the city for. And he was like, "Oh, just join me." I'm like, "Excuse me? What?" He's like, "Yeah, it'll be fine. You're with me. And we'll just say you're on the sheet." "Sure, man, whatever. Like, I ain't trying to get you in trouble." And he was confident as hell. He's like, "I got it. Don't worry." So did an audition without knowing how the hell to fucking do it in the first place. And we walk around some more. I remember he took me to his agent out in New York, and I met with them, and they were super cool. And they're like, "Oh yeah, you got a look too." I'm like, "Oh, thanks. This seems to be the thing that's happening. I got the look." I don't know what the hell that meant at the time. We were done. We went back to Jersey, and then he was like, "Okay, here's Actors Access. Here's Casting Networks." And I'm just looking at this. I'm like, "The hell is this shit?" He's like, "Oh, it's like this database where you could find all of it." Cool, man. All right. And he sets up the profile for me. He's like, he was so accommodating. And then he pretty much Spartan kicked me into the world of acting. He was like, "Here you go, have fun." I learned. And here we go all these years later. And that's why I always say every time I see him, it is his fault that I am here right now talking about the acting and how it all started. So if it wasn't for him coming up to me in that fun little dance circle, this would not exist right now.
So clearly you caught the bug doing this. Take me to that audition crash. Did you have to know dialogue when you walked in? Like, how did you get through that without being discovered?
So it was I think it was a commercial. I think I kind of remember what it was. I remember it was like a few friends, and we were supposed to sit around, I guess, watching a game or something and reacting to it. Like, you know, and the people in the back were like, "Okay, they score." And then they're like, "Okay, and they missed a field goal." I was just like, "Ah, shit, I can't believe it. Wow, oh my God." And, you know, whatever. And yeah, we did just those reactions. And then they're like, "All right, cool. You guys are great. Thanks." Walked off. And I was like, "That's what that is?" He's like, "You know, not all the time, but yeah, you know, do certain things like that." And I was like, "Okay, cool." I actually don't know if to this day he actually booked that one or not. Like, I actually never asked because I just remembered it now.
It's funny. That's you got lucky there because it was just a reaction one, and it sounds like you had the whoever cheers and screams and yells the loudest wins audition.
Yeah,
I've been to plenty of those. Whether it's watching a TV, throwing craps for a casino ad, or booking an ad just like what you described for the National Football League, only to be left on the cutting room floor. I tell that story in Snowfang's podcast.
Wait, so that happened to you?
Oh yeah.
Wait, tell me. What I know.
I booked
just heard it, but Run me through that real quick.
Last year, I booked, it was a SAG national commercial for Verizon NFL Sunday Ticket. Spent all day up in New York for a fitting, tried on 20 different outfits. Next day, we're up in Upper Montclair, New Jersey. And then just a scenario that you described, we're sitting around a TV outside, like supposed to be like an outdoor LA watch party for the Rams. And we're just reacting to nothing on a television, hooting and hollering, screaming, cheering, jeering. Oh, great, wonderful, yeah. And that 95-degree day, and we're wearing hoodies with lights on us. I don't know how we didn't collapse, but we got through the day. And then the time comes, like maybe 6-7 weeks later, for this thing to air. And rather than seeing it air, at least our part, we saw the other actors on the show air in this spot, but we didn't see us. And we're on a text thread, and we're going, maybe there's another version to this. There was no second version. We got a letter in the mail from payroll saying that we were outgraded from the commercial. So there's a thing called upgrades on sets where you say a line, you get a credit, your pay goes up, you get your SAG eligibility. We were outgraded from this SAG spot. Basically saying, it's a nice way of saying you're cut. You're not going to get any further compensation. You're not in the spot. Forget residuals, all that stuff.
Oh my!
It's very deflating. So
damn.
You get the audition, you get the callback, you book the job, you go to the fitting, you get through the shoot day, then you wait and wait and wait for it to come out. Sorry, you got cut. So welcome to showbiz.
Damn, I would have been like, okay, if I start, hey, cool, boy.
So it happens. You can never, and I learned that lesson multiple times the hard way. A lot of people, I see a lot of actors go on social media when they book something, and they'll say, booked it. I just booked this job. Give me some likes. Give me some thumbs ups. And that's all well and good. And there is something to be said for booking a job. It's difficult to book a job. There's a lot of competition, and it is something to celebrate. At the same time, where it's like you're hooting and hollering over something, and then when you say that you book something, you're creating the expectation in people that, oh, great, I can't wait to see it. What do you do if that happens? What do you do if they cut your part? What if they do if you don't even show up at all? That happened to me on 21 Bridges with Chadwick Boseman. It's another story, quick story. It was my first feature film that I booked. When I got the booking notice from my agent, I uncontrollably cried. Instantly cried, because it took 7 years for me to book a speaking part in a real movie with a real star. I figured, all right, here we go. I'm going to be a reporter in this. The days are going by. The weeks are going by. I was never called for a fitting. I'm thinking, this is odd. Then I see an Instagram post from casting saying, all right, 21 Bridges is wrapped. Thank you so much for all the talent that worked on the show. They didn't even bother to bring me in. They completely cut the part, and no one told me. No one. Nothing. So things can happen, like especially that level where there's a budget. You can be booked, but the case can happen where, especially in these very tiny roles like reporters and whatnot, I think in that case, on that show, they booked 7 or 8 reporters, and they used maybe 4 or 5, or 3 or 4. And I just got left out to dry. But I was never told, no one ever bothered to email me or call me saying, you're still going to get paid, but we're just not going to use you in the film. So that was a case where I didn't even shoot the scene. I wasn't even invited to the fitting because they just said, oh, this is excess fat. We're going to trim it right away. But the funny part though, Matt, is that to this day, I still cash residuals for a movie I was never in.
Hey, then it is okay. It is okay. If you're still getting paid, it is fine. But
that's a story. I mean, what a world of showbiz where they'll pay you to do nothing.
I'm fine with that. And that's, it's funny. I learned pretty quick not to take anything personal with anything that I book or don't book or whatever. Like it probably took me 2 years to finally be like, I don't give a fuck. Not in the sense of, I say this in class all the time. I just don't give a fuck, because it's not like I don't care. It's just like it beyond what happens in the audition or like that, or the self tapes. I have zero control. I don't care. I submit. I'm like, cool. I'm on to the next. Doesn't matter. I'm not gonna, celebrate until I'm like on set or for whatever project it is. And even then I'm kind of like, yeah, this is cool and all, but we'll see what happens if it actually like pops up. Like it takes me a while for me to finally be like, hey, I did that.
I don't exhale until I see it out in the world. That's what my experience has taught me.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there are levels that you can celebrate as you go. You celebrate the audition, you celebrate the booking, you celebrate being on set and filming it. Then you wait with bated breath and you pray and you hope. Case in point, I'm waiting right now for March 14th to see if I have 1 second in Dope Thief on Apple TV.
Okay.
So that we shot that well over 2 years ago. You shoot things, you forget about them. I forget about auditions, I forget about shoots. Because like you said, there's no control. You're just one glob of paint on the easel. Hopefully you make it to the painting. You know, that's the thing. Hopefully the director uses your particular role and skill. But like you said, it's appreciate the audition, do your best, have an idea, come at it with a couple different ways or more, and then let it go. And I learned that lesson right away, where it's like you got to have selective memory. And when I walked out that door of that casting office after every audition, it's like once I shut that door, along with that went my memory of the audition. So when Friday, my goal was to forget everything I did by the end of the week. When Friday came, I couldn't tell you what I did Monday or Tuesday. That pathway in my brain has been grooved now, I think, hopefully to my benefit. Because if you worry about everything you did, if you hem and haw and worry about whether or not you're going to get picked, you're going to drive yourself up a wall.
Especially in this business, because it's so vain in a sense, because it's like you could think your mind can dismantle you in so many different ways. Was I not good looking? Was I not acting enough? Was I not acting enough? You know, was it this? Was it that? Was my lighting so bad? Is that why they didn't pick me? Like, am I not fucking good enough? What is happening? It could be so many different things. Thankfully, my memory is just always shot, so I don't have selective memory. My memory is just non-existent, except for, you know, when I memorize lines. That's it.
That's the thing. It's you got to let it go, and you know you can't worry about what happens, because I like to think like it might be, this is cliche and it could be lip service, but casting's not going to waste their time seeing anyone that they don't think can't do the job. So really, casting is just like the universe. It doesn't waste energy. So if you're in there, if they're going to give you the 3 minutes to look at that tape, then they think that you're an answer to the problem, and take that as a victory. You have to. So you started, you crashed an audition, you got interested in it.
Yes.
So when did the independent films come along? Did they come along right away?
Not really, and not as many as you think. Like, I think I can only 2, 3, honestly, that I've actually done. Like most of my stuff has mainly been like commercials or print or things like that. I'm just now really trying to get into the whole indie streaming, whatever it is, because I never felt confident enough, only because, like, you know, off of natural talent, I was like, all right, this is cool and all, but I feel like if I really want to try my luck at that, I gotta like go somewhere and get taught how to do it. And that's where, you know, I sought out Active Lab Philly, man. Shouts to fucking Brian. Boy, that boy good.
Well, speaking of the commercials, I realized I didn't know until I started looking you up that we are Wawa Commercial Brothers. We're part of the Wawa Commercial Club.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to eat. Let me ask, did you get to eat those sandwiches all day or no?
Oh, I have a story for you. So I remember I booked that. We were promoting the turkey club. We were doing like different club sandwiches, I think, for this particular commercial. Man, those things look so beautiful. They had like 2 chefs in the back, and they were just like making them all pretty and stuff. And I remember they were saying, you don't have to eat the whole thing. You know, just take a bite and then just toss it. And I was like, you don't know me. If anybody knows me, I am a fat ass at heart. I will eat everything. None of them sandwiches went to waste. I had like 7 or 8 of them that I kill all the time. They're like, I cut, that's great. And I'm just chowing down and stuff like that. I remember one of the producers were like, you know, you don't got to eat it. And I'm like, I am not being wasteful. And the whole crew just started laughing their asses off. I was just hungry. Come on now. What a great thing to have, to be paid to eat. That is joy to me. You don't understand? Like, I'm for it. That check was nice. And I was full.
Did you have lunch that day, quote unquote?
I had a lot of lunches that day.
Nice. The only thing better than eating Wawa all day was I got to do Turkey Hill back in the day. So I got to eat ice cream for 6 hours. That was sweet. Especially when you're sitting there and the guy just keeps handing you a fresh dish with a fresh spoon and a fresh scoop of whatever. Just have somebody rub my feet while I'm eating this. This is heaven on earth.
That's good, man. As I said, anything food or beverage, I'm for it. I don't give a damn about the pay. If you let me eat and drink on this, yes, sign me up. I'm ready.
I wish I had a similar story with Wawa Pizza, but after the first bite, they said, you know, it's in your best interest to utilize the spit bucket. And after 10 minutes, trust me, that pizza wasn't too appetizing after 10 minutes. They kept blowing, I've told this story a few times in the podcast, but they kept blowing air on it with hair dryers to keep the cheese soft. And it got, you know, kind of rank and nasty pretty quick. So I unfortunately, I don't have the experience you have on Wawa, but at least I did get to debut the pizza, which became, we had some notoriety from it. And then it got notorious on its second airing. I had the same individuals say to me, "Oh, that ad is so cool." And then when it got renewed, "Oh, I hate that ad." Like, what? So talk about not taking it personally.
It's fine. I remember when the first time, I've never seen any of my stuff ever aired. Like, people will send me the shit, but I'll never actually see it with my own two eyes. Wawa was the only one. And I remember we went to, it was Comic-Con. And we went to grab breakfast, and I looked up quick because I was waiting for my order, and I see how it started, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is gonna be the ad." And I yelled at my friends. I was like, "Yo, my thing's about to pop up," and then they're like, "Really?" And so we're all just standing there, and here I am just chowing down. We all went nuts. The Wawa workers and the few people that the poor people that are just there to get their coffee and leave. Man, we're causing a scene. We're like, "Oh shit, like, it's crazy." And then everybody's like,
yeah, you get those weird looks.
Okay, that's like, you kept it pushing. That was the only time I've ever seen my stuff. That and Foods of America.
It's great when your thing pops up.
It's
you know,
it's funny. It's kind of funny. It's weird.
It is.
It's kind of weird. It's like, oh yeah, I did. That is me. Okay. Just keep going.
But it's weird too. And like, it's like, you're seeing yourself in a different dimension, a different world, a different realm. You know, I've been lucky to see myself on a TV out in public a few times, you know, out and about. And it makes me feel good, but at the same time, it is a bit strange.
It's like not you. Like, do you get that? Like when you see it, like it's you, but it's not you. It's weird to kind of, you know what I mean?
I do.
It's interesting.
You did a Pepsi ad where I think cheesesteaks were involved. I got to eat a cheesesteak ironically, I did an ad for Burger King, but we had our set at Pat Steaks in Philadelphia. And I was just background eating at Pat's, but they were trying to get everyday people on the street to eat a Philly cheesesteak Whopper. And that was an experience, but
was it good?
I never got to eat the Whopper, but I'm sitting there while they're interviewing normal people tasting the new Philly cheesesteak Whopper, and they're trying to get authentic reactions out of people, and they're trying to get "Oh my God, this is wonderful, this is great, this is awesome." I think for every reaction to that they got 10 people that went, "This tastes like shit."
Yep.
Like, what the F is this? I'm like, oh my God. And it's like the director can't get them out of there fast enough. They're just aren't in on the joke. They're not in on the setup. It's like, we want you to kind of like this. And you're a normal person, not an actor. So we need you to say something kind of nice. So we need you to act a little bit.
Yeah.
But most of the people didn't get the memo. But in the meantime, I'm sitting outside Pat's devouring the whiz wit that they gave me in about 30 seconds. That's my cheesesteak food story, but I think I got the better end of the deal. I got to have the cheesesteak, and they got to have the Philly cheesesteak Whopper, which I think did not last.
I mean, hey, like, I can't say this enough. Food and getting paid is such a fantastic perk to our job.
Well, it continues with you. You got to do the documentary series on History Channel, Foods That Build America. And you played a junior executive that basically named the shoulder of pork of ham or Spam in one of those episodes.
I am the one.
You are the one.
That's why
How did you become the one? Tell me
How
about
did
that,
I become
that
the one?
experience. Yeah, tell me about the audition, the shoot day.
So what ended up happening was I did the audition. I sent in a self-tape. It was actually on Actors Access, surprisingly enough. I sent it in. I didn't really think nothing of it. And I actually had an audition for Foods That Built America for a different episode. And I didn't book it, but they emailed me and they said, we like what you did. We might, use you again for another episode if that's cool. Yeah, sure, no problem. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, y'all ain't calling me for shit. But I appreciate y'all being nice, whatever. Surprisingly enough, they emailed me and they said, hey, we have this. Would you be interested? And I was like, sure. I didn't audition for that one. They just knew from whatever I did the audition for that other episode. They're like, it's good enough. So I went up to New York, filmed that scene, and it was cool. It was my first talking thing on television, and it was awesome. And that was me. That was me. I was happy with myself because I was like, yeah, I did that. No management, yay!
Did that experience make you want to do more? Were you happy enough with your performance that made you feel like I want to do more of this?
It didn't make me want to do more because I by then I already had decided like that was the direction I kind of wanted to go. It almost solidified like you can do it. I have that ability to, given the right opportunity. So it was a nice way to kind of reinforce that. Haven't had the option to do it again yet, but I'm sure it'll pop up. It's just a matter of when, not if. So I'm cool with it.
So doing that show basically was confirmation for you that you have the ability to do this line of work.
Yeah, and that's probably what kind of got the ball rolling in terms of like, okay, maybe we need to hone this a little bit more because, again, it was cool, but again, that was all off of whatever that natural talent was. Like I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. Like it was just pure instinct, which is fine. I wanted to kind of make sure whatever I was doing was correct. And I needed that type of guidance. And, that's why I landed out in Actors Lab Philly between Brian and all you guys in the class, man. Ugh, all the fucking heavy hitters in there. It forces you to really be on your A game in terms of grab, how to be present, listen, all these different ways to interpret a scene. It's been good. It's well needed for me to have something to push.
Like you said, like we can only rely on instincts for so long. Like they get us in the door, but then we have to hone and refine and know what we're doing when the clock is ticking. And that's what brought you to Actors Lab. What's the biggest aha? What's been the biggest revelation so far in that class for you, being in there and acting with everybody and through all these scenes? What has crystallized in your head that, oh my God, this is a technique or a skill or an insight that I didn't have before I walked in here?
So I am a natural hater. In my genes, I'm just a hater, and I'm fueled off of competition. I think what not necessarily an aha fuels me to be there and constantly be there and constantly learn and listen for all of you is, again, the amount of talent, the way that each and every person in there can interpret a scene and do it that way or do it this way. And, we sit and we watch everybody, do certain scenes, and sometimes certain scenes repeat. So we'll see like another variation of that go on. And I'm just like, wow, like there are so many different choices that you can do with just one scene and, or just whatever the text calls for. It's been fantastic. And it's been nice to see that like, oh, there's not really a definitive right or wrong choice. It's kind of like something's going to stick, and it's going to probably be whatever, not so much you, but whatever everybody else who's guiding the ship is going to be like, that works. And you all are talented, and to me, you all are competition friendly. So I'm like, I gotta beat you motherfuckers in some way, you know what I mean? Like, you all are competition, but not competition, but our competition. I need it.
It's interesting. You bring up the C word. I remember, not to get into a debate about it, but I remember when I first started, there was a mindset among some actors with not a lot of experience yet about the feeling that they have to beat another actor out. And that mindset got drilled out of me pretty quickly. I didn't have that mindset. I did have the suspicion that anyone who kind of looks like me is my competition, but that hair gets split multiple ways, particularly through the audition process, in my opinion. It's one thing to generally look like another actor, that's your type, but no two personalities are the same. No two actors are going to read the same. No two actors are going to give off the same vibe, the same subtext. So those are the things that I believe ultimately set you apart from everybody, and that's what makes you unique. Therefore, if we accept that as true, there really isn't competition. There's only you presenting yourself to the client, to the director, to casting, and then allowing them to make a decision. It's not a team sport where we're trying to defeat the other team. That's why I think and believe that because of those factors, there really isn't such a thing as competition, because we're all coming to the party with a different set of utensils.
Yeah.
And we're coming to the party with different food. You know what I mean?
I do. See, maybe competition isn't the proper term for it. I guess motivation would essentially be like the substitute word. I call a competition. I think everybody else would probably be like, oh, we use actors as motivation. But for me, it's always been like competitive from like the music end of things, because it's like, you had to be better than so-and-so. You had to be better than this. You had to be better than that. So I still take that mindset into the acting world, but only in terms of how to push myself. I know you and I aren't really in competition for something, or if we are for the same role, I don't care. You book it. I don't care. I book it. I don't care if somebody that's blended between us that looks like us ends up booking it. That's fantastic. I will jokingly hate and be like, man, you suck, but congratulations. I really mean that, with all my heart. So yeah, I guess I use other actors as motivation to push me to be better, but I call them competition.
Yeah, I like the motivation part, and I think it would only be competition if I had an identical twin going in the room before me or after me. Then maybe it's competition. That's my mindset around it. It's regardless of how similar you look to someone, you're not similar to anybody else in terms of your energy, how you're interpreting the role. That hair is thick and it can be split, and it's the director's job and casting's job to differentiate actors based on those things. And it's not just look. It's all those other criteria that I mentioned. But I do like framing it more as improving yourself, improving your craft, rather than competition. It's improvement as an actor rather than competition.
Yeah. Motivation, I guess, would be the general like layout for what it would be. Me personally, I'm just gonna call it competition. Because it really doesn't matter when it's all said and done, because I've always said, like, because that's why I share a lot of different things that I've learned or whatever the case is, because just because you have the formula that I have, you're never going to be able to duplicate it the way that you can have the same thing and do it completely different, and that's fine. That's why I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I'll be happy to help whoever, because it doesn't matter.
Well, let me get to a discipline that probably does evolve more about competition as well as discipline itself. Tell me, what is Balintawak?
Balintawak, yes. So it is a Filipino martial arts, originated in Cebu. Our grandmaster is Bobby Tabawada, and he brought it over to the States, and his reach is global at this point. He books out, and thankfully enough, the way that lineage goes is it's grandmaster, and then Jeff Soriano, that's my best buddy. What's up, man? And then from him, it was my friend Frank Zong, and that's how. So I'm like fourth below. So it's pretty close in how that goes. It's Filipino stick fighting, and I've been like year 3 now, so it's relatively fresh in this whole martial arts world. And I've never taken anything before, so this was a very new, very daunting task to start at that late in the game. So it's been incredible, an incredible thing to add to my arsenal. And I think I've taken a few things and brought it over to acting as well. So and vice versa. It's been blended perfect.
What does the discipline actually entail? Is it hand-to-hand combat? Is it combat with sticks?
We would get told that it's like the curriculum is literally like a foot wide and a mile deep. You get like the bare basics of, you know, levels 1 through 6, and then once you eventually pass that, that's kind of where fun begins and all the different things that you get to learn. And this isn't one of those things where you can just pick it up and be like, oh yeah, this is cool. We're fighting with 6. No, it's not like that at all. It's a very delicate process to learn, and you really got to put in the time and dedication. You really got to practice, not only when I go up to Jersey and learn stuff and practice, but like I got to do stuff at home too. Otherwise, it's one of those things where you don't use it, you lose it. It's been a hell of a change in life, and it's cool because, you know, the reason I got into it was because the geek in me, one of my favorite characters was Nightwing. He uses the screamer sticks. You know, it's Filipino martial arts. I'm half Filipino. So for that to have the geek in me and the heritage kind of blend together, like, why wouldn't I want to do this? So it was perfect. Absolutely perfect.
How is the discipline transferred over into your acting? What have you been able to incorporate?
It's just, you know, same thing with different lines that I got to learn and stuff. Just carving out that small portion of time and just focus. I have, like, you know, have to worry about 12 basics with or without control, blocking counters with or without control. I have to do the same thing with, you know, lines. What's happening in the scene? Actually knowing the line. What's the mood here? Where am I going for? Where is this character supposed to go? Where are they going to? And it's just always carving out that specific time to just dedicate specifically to that.
Based on acting and Balintawak, do you have a fantasy role that you know in your head that you would want to have if given the chance?
I want to be Nightwing.
Nightwing?
I want to be Dick Grayson. I want to be the DCU's Dick Grayson. All right, damn it. So if any of you execs are listening to this podcast, it's me. Look no further. It's me. It is I am him. There is no need to look any farther. I got it. Don't you worry.
It's out there. It's in the universe. Speaking of DC, speaking of those worlds, it looks like you know how to soak up a Comic-Con. I went on your gram, and I think you spent a pretty penny with some photo ops. I saw pics with you with Mads Mikkelsen, Hugh Dancy, Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Doc Brown himself, Chris Lloyd, Michael J. Fox, Christopher Sabat. I mean, and then you do the cosplay. So tell me about the cosplay. What motivates you to do that?
That was a fairly new thing too. I know a lot of my friends would do it, and then they would Comic-Cons prior. They were like, "You got to do this," and I'm like, "No, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right. I'm not gonna make no rookie mistakes. I'm gonna come with it." So finally, we decided. I think it was 2 years. So yeah, 2 years ago we decided to do Avatar: The Last Airbender. My boy Zuko here, and all our friends joke. They're like, "You are him. You are Zuko," and I'm like, "Oh, you know, they already cast Zuko, so I can't do it." I was like, let's do it. Let me research. Let me figure it out. I want to be able to be this character. So I literally ran through all of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I watched all his scenes time and time again so I could get the mannerisms down. Like, I was in deep in this shit. And then I looked on Amazon for weeks trying to piece together all these different pieces that matched in color. And I went to Etsy to get like different scar and pieced it all together. And my lady's one friend, she sewed everything up to make it look authentic. And bang, my very first cosplay was Zuko, and that shit killed. And it got the complete thumbs up from the man himself, the voice, Dante Bosco. He was like, "Oh, you are him." I was like, "Yes." We were laughing our asses off about that. Yeah, last year was the guy version of Sailor Moon, and that was the most successful thing we ever did. I was shocked.
I was going to say, like, what inspired Sailor Moon that year?
My buddy Mike Harrison, for the longest, would always say that he wanted to do a gender bender of a cosplay, and he finally said Sailor Moon. and finally said yes. So we got 5 of us to agree, and we built everything. It was the first time that we were able to kind of collab, and like we actually were on the group chat for once and like coordinating which pieces to get here and there so that way we could look pretty uniform across the board. Unfortunately, my one friend wasn't able to join us because he passed on a motorcycle accident. So that was rough. And we talked about that. We didn't really know, should we do it? Should we not do it? Then we finally decided what we will. We decided to get his kid involved. So he was able to put the costume pretty perfect.
Did the Sailor Moon grab a lot of attention on the floor?
Yeah.
Where you asked for a lot of photo ops?
It was crazy. Yeah, it was it was really good, man. It was cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of attention. We were very surprised at how successful it actually became. And it was cool. It was a lot.
I'm sure. I'm sure you're
Look what you've done to me. Oh my God. Yeah.
Thumbs up from your buddy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you did have, I did see a pic in that lot with Chris Evans. And then when I saw it, it kind of triggered in me some complicated memories. I did a movie with Chris called Before We Go. And he was directing it. I'm not sure if he was a producer or not, but he was definitely directing it. The story goes is that I answered a Casting Network's breakdown. Me and a female actress friend of mine, we went up and posed as a couple, and they wanted a real life couple. But we were comfortable with each other, so we just went up there and acted like we were an item. And next thing we know, we're in this boutique hotel in Little Italy, and we're in the lobby, and it's just me and her and Chris Evans and Alice Eve and maybe 8 or 10 crew. That's about it. And all we had to do was get out of an elevator and acknowledge Chris and walk by him. The thing was that in this movie, Before We Go, there are many scenes where it just features individual actors by themselves, like the camera's just observing slices of life. And for a few seconds, myself and my female actress friend are the only ones in the shot. Yet we were considered to be non-union background on this show. But the question that I never got answered by SAG or by production was, how can I be considered background when we're the only people in the shot?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was kind of, I think some lines were blurred on this show. And if you watch the scene, we get out of the elevator where it's implied that we were doing some naughty stuff. And I kind of give Chris a, hey, what's up? And then once we're off camera, if you listen closely, they pipe in a line, which is implied to come from my lips. And I'm like, oh, those sons of bitches, anything to save money, And I knew it was an independent production. I knew they didn't have a lot of money. And I just thought, damn, they're cutting corn. They're really, blurring the line here. And I wasn't happy about it. And I know my agent looked into it, but we never got an answer. So long story short, by the time it was all over, I'm in the movie, but I think I earned $62 after taxes for my efforts. So if you have any illusions out there, folks, that you're going to be in a movie and you're going to be a millionaire, guess what? I'm in a movie with Chris Evans and I made $60. So there you have it. That's my Chris Evans experience. It's the experience, and it's a story that I could finally tell on this show. But yeah, so that's my Chris Evans story for now. So if I ever see him again, I'm going to say, you know what? I got a bone to pick with your ass. I get it. Yeah, I understand. But at least I was in the room.
Yeah, I mean,
no.
When it's all said and done, like it's just cool to have those different interactions, especially with like those type of actors and where they are on the pedigree. It's like, oh shit, like it's crazy, like same room, and it's kind of a surreal moment. Like,
And the weird thing too, though, Matt, was that even though it's Chris Evans, even though it's an A-lister, watching them work, you get to see the self-doubt and the anxiety and all the just seeing an actor feeling unsure. Like I remember just before our scene, we were watching him do the scene leading up to it, and I remember him doing 25, 30 takes of just one line, and he was directing himself. And I think, like, I don't know this for a fact, but I think it's torture if you're acting and directing yourself.
Yeah.
Because he's sitting there, he's overthinking this one simple line, and he'll say the line, then he'll direct himself out loud. He'll say he's doing it again. He did the line, 80 Ways to Sunday. And in the end of the movie, it just comes out like matter of fact, normal, like how anybody else would do it. But there was this mental torture that he was giving himself over one blessed line. I'm thinking, geez, oh man. Again, imagine the rest of the show. Imagine the rest of the scenes when you're trying to direct yourself. I would rather just have the singular focus of performing and then having someone else do the job of observing the performance.
Yeah.
But it kind of breaks the wall down too, where these people are not gods. They're not otherworldly. You're seeing the best of the best when you see a movie or a TV show with these people, or you're seeing something that's really effect laden and it makes them look bigger than they are. But at the end of the day, like I learned on Before We Go with Chris, I learned on Wolf of Wall Street with Matthew McConaughey and Leo DiCaprio, watching them work. And we've said this in class, like I'm watching them work and the only thought going through my head is these people aren't doing anything that you and I can't do.
Yeah.
And that's the truth, man. It really is true. It's not like they are other, that they are special, that they have a way of being that you and I can't be. You know, they just happen to be more exposed to the world than you and I. But we can, with training and with confidence, do what they're doing, really. And that's why I think, in some respects, this business, when it comes to succeeding as an actor, really is like a lottery, and there is a little bit of luck involved because so many people can do the job. They really can. I think it just comes down to factors that we just can't foresee, whether or not we get to be put in an echelon like that.
A lot of it, we said earlier, like it's beyond the audition process. A lot of it is kind of not in our control. Like it's other people deciding if we look the part, we fit the part, we do this, we do that. And it's, you know, if it's up to them, then all right, then this shit makes my thing a whole lot easier because all I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring my version of it. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, well, it was cool. On to the next. Doesn't matter.
On to the next.
Does not matter.
That's the way you have to be. You know, it's give it your best, be confident in what you're putting out there, and on to the next. Otherwise, what else are you going to do? There's no point in torturing yourself.
I mean, you could.
Of course you could.
But you could. You could.
Then you need the money for therapy.
There's no problem. Hey, I've been in therapy for years. There's nothing wrong there. Nothing wrong.
Everybody can learn something from therapy.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Learn so much.
You seem like a wisdom-filled individual. So tell me, what pearls of wisdom have you amassed over your years that you take with you each day?
Oh, wow. That's crazy. I wouldn't classify myself as a guy with wisdom at all.
Come on, man. I know how old you are.
Yeah. I don't mean wisdom for shit, okay? Just I'm about to be 38 means nothing, okay? Like, doesn't mean shit at all, okay? I don't know. I think I'm cool with who I am. I'm cool with what I've become. I'm excited for what may happen in the future. And man, I don't give a fuck what happens around me. Whatever I can't control is not my problem. It's simple. You know, I can only control what I have control of, and everything else I'm not gonna fucking lose sleep or stress over it. You know, I will, just because I can't help it. And, you know, depression will sometimes be worse to handle more days than others. And it'll be one of those where I'll do bare minimum stuff just to kind of check the list, but I'm not going to overexert myself. But, you know, like I'll do what I need to. And then after that, I don't care. I don't care. That's how I get about the day. And so far it's worked. Maybe for me, I don't know if it's worked for people around me and who have to deal with me. So I don't know. That's the only wisdom I can say about how I get through day to day.
That's good enough. And just the mentality of on to the next, right?
Yes.
Don't dwell, stay in the moment.
Yeah.
So where can people find out more about you if they're interested?
Talk to me. Because you ain't gonna find it on social media. Because I hate social media, man. Like I have it just because I'm supposed to. I'm not gonna, I'm not active on it. I try to not be active on it. So like you might see a post from me every few months. Like the next post will probably just be to promote this, and then that'll be it. And then you will see or hear from me, and unless like you have my number. So if you want to follow me, by all means, but I'm going to tell you right now, shit is boring. Okay.
Hey, there you go. We'll put it up there in the link. But so basically, you're like the A team.
Yeah, you can find me. You have my number. Hey, I'll tell you. You know, I'll teach you. I'll keep you in the loop. But I mean, if you want to follow me at at Chua America on anything with my social media, by all means, there's some pretty pictures up there that you can look at.
Hey, it's something, folks.
Much. Hey, you ain't gonna find much, buddy. I'll tell you right now, this is the most recent look that any of you are gonna get probably in quite some time. Because yeah, I've had like hats and shit like that. Like I'm like, this is a brand new debut right now.
Well, there may not be much on the social medias, but there's a lot going on with Matt Chua in the acting world and in your heart and what you've done and what you're going to be doing. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you in class, getting to know you perform, and looking forward to the next class and that on to the next mentality, my friend.
Yeah, we got to do a scene together.
We do have to do
list. You're on the list of people I still got to work with.
Let's find something, all right?
Say less. Let's go.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Thanks for joining me, Matt. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, thank you for having me on here. Love it. Go listen to this man's podcast. It's great. He look what he's done to me. He's made me cry on this shit. He's made me talk about things that I don't talk to unless like you're like in the room with me. What this man has done. This is why I don't do fucking interviews.
All right, checks in the mail.